Alright, so I made a video. Well, this video came out. This video was made like 2 years ago, but basically, I finally released a video talking about will Jujutsu Kaisen be big in the next 10 years a couple days ago. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And today I was like, you know what? I should just make one on Chainsaw Man as well because, I think this discussion can also work with Chainsaw Man because it ended earlier this year. And I believe we're getting like season 3 of Chainsaw Man this year or next year, so we still have a while before the anime ends, but still decided to make this video just talking about this because I'm curious to see what other people think about. So with that very long intro and me dying out of the way, let's talk about if Chainsaw Man will be big in the next 10 years. And I think the short and sweet, yes. I think it will be because it'll be remembered for all of the stuff that it does. Especially of like Denji's character, his relationship with like Power, Aki, Makima, Riz, basically the whole cast, basically. Because he has a very interesting relationship with the whole cast. And I do think it's gonna be remembered being about like I don't know, when we're all older, we're gonna be like, oh dude, do you remember when Chainsaw Man came out and like Denji went from being homeless, like having Aki as like a brother and Power as his sister, and he's like, yeah man, it was really sad when like Aki and Power both died in front of him, basically. Like it's gonna be remembered for either for good or for bad. I guess it depends on how you view everything that happened in Chainsaw Man, but I do think it'll definitely be remembered one way or another. Hopefully it's for the good, but it might be for the bad. But I guess we'll have to wait and see in like 10 years from this video. So in 2036, Jesus Christ, I'm getting older progressively as I do this. But yeah, that's the short and sweet. Now the long topic way to say this, yes, it will be. I just think the only thing that will kind of tarnish its legacy of people remembering and just thinking about this is the ending, because there is a giant elephant in the room that we have to talk about. The ending for Chainsaw Man was super rushed. You could just tell, because we went from like Denji fighting Asa, spoilers by the way, we went from Denji fighting Asa to Denji getting eaten by some random devil, and then Puchta being like, hey man, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. And yeah, after that was the second to last chapter, and we had no idea this is happening. It wasn't like Fuji said, yeah guys, I'm wrapping up Chainsaw Man in the next 2 chapters. Basically, we got that chapter, we were all theorizing, being like is this gonna be the end of part 2? Are we getting part 3? Like there's no way next week's chapter is gonna be the last one, until lo and behold, that Chainsaw Man came out every Tuesday. That Tuesday morning, or whenever you read it, smack dab, the end. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So like, why did this get so rushed out? So I think I've said this before. I have a lot of problems with the ending. It was rushed. Everything up until I would say, damn, is all of part 2 like bad? All of part 2 is not bad. I liked some parts of part 2, but there were definitely a lot of issues with part 2 of Chainsaw Man. I think anyone who's read it can definitely see the issues with it. I know some of my biggest gripes with it was like the reveal of who fake Chainsaw Man was, because it was just some random guy, no one important. It was like somebody that Denji didn't save in like part 1 of Chainsaw Man, and that could have went somewhere to where it was like, I don't know, I just wish like fake Chainsaw Man was more important to the story than what he was, because it was just like, it was interesting. It was just like, dude, we have Denji, obviously, who is Chainsaw Man, and then we have this imposter of Denji that we don't know who this is. Honestly, I don't know who I would have wanted it to be if like we had a choice to say, Fuji would never do this, but Fuji said, all right guys, I'm gonna let you guys decide who is fake Chainsaw Man. But I can't explain it, but it's just like, it was kind of just like, oh, okay, so just some random bystander that was fake Chainsaw Man. He did some stuff, but I think he could have did more in the story. What he could have did in the story, I have no idea, but that's like besides the point. He could have did more in the story. Another big elephant to address is the fact that we did not see Kishibe in part 2. We never figured out what Kenobi's devil was. Yoshida's random death just like came out of nowhere, came literally out of the blue. We never knew what happened to Quan Chi after the last time we saw her, where she got shot in the arm. It's been a while since I've last read Chainsaw Man. There was like a lot of characters in part 2 just had a wasted potential. They're just there just to be there. Sword guy, sword man, whatever his name was. Wish he did more. Wish the hybrids did more, but they're kind of just there just to be there. And yeah, so people are still going to talk about Chainsaw Man in general, but they're probably going to be like, oh no, part 1 of Chainsaw Man was great, really good. Part 2 was when things started to get bad. And I mean, they wouldn't be wrong per se, because like, don't get me wrong, like I said, I did like Chainsaw Man through and through, but I don't know, it just feels like when Denji got reintroduced, that's kind of when things sort of went downhill, because it was kind of just like, obviously, at the end of part 1, we knew that Denji was still alive, because you know how crazy that would be if he died off screen in part 1 and we didn't know. Like, we knew that Denji was going to come back, but I don't know, to go from Denji being the main character and then us having Asa as the main character for a little bit, it was nice. It was really cool. And then obviously once Denji came back into the story, he was the main character again, because the show is called Chainsaw Man. It's not called the what was Yoru woman or whatever. That sounds bad, but you get what I mean. It was called Chainsaw Man, so obviously Denji, main character. So I don't know. Man, the ending was just so bad. I wish it was fleshed out more. But anyways, we're here to talk about that. All right, but yeah, so I definitely do think that it will be remembered in 10 years, especially with like the anime still going on and stuff. So I definitely do think people are going to be like, you know, the manga of Chainsaw Man wasn't the prettiest looking, but like when I imagine once Denji versus Aki gets animated, man, it's going to be great. Everybody's going to cry. I know I am. Like, I remember when I first read the chapter of Aki dying, I was just like, dude, there's no way. There's no way they killed Aki off the way they did that. Like, I'm just picturing things getting animated that are going to be good, like the Gun Devil destroying half of wherever it's, like, when it came, you get what I mean, like when the Gun Devil was introduced and it destroyed many people, it's going to be great. Like, it's gonna be amazing, but it's just gonna be sad too, because Aki dies, and then shortly after Power dies, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great time. I mean, it's not gonna be a great time. It's gonna be sad because we're losing two good characters, but you get what I mean. It's gonna be beautifully animated. I imagine the voice actors are gonna give it everything they have. Mappa's gonna go crazy with the animation, so it's gonna look very pretty, I imagine. It's just, you know, people are going to be like, the animation was good, but the story wasn't the best. I can see people saying that, which they wouldn't be wrong. I mean, the story's fine, but just like, near the end, it was kind of just like, okay, alright. Like, we're kind of just, not really throwing stuff at a wall, but it's just like, you can just tell that Fuji wanted to end it when he wanted to end it, so. Yeah. To answer the question, no, weird way to end this. I guess to answer the question, will Chainsaw Man be remembered in 10 years? Yes, for good or for worse. I have a feeling, and who knows? Maybe they might, when certain stuff gets animated, they might add more to it. So I don't know, like, what's a good example? Maybe when, I don't know, when the last time we see Quan Chi, maybe they might add on something being like, oh, I don't know, a post. I don't know. They might add stuff to it to kind of make it flow a little bit better, or they might not. They might just say, all right, we have the manga here. Basically, copy this, animate it, and then call it a day. We're not gonna add more. We're not gonna add less. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope they do. I definitely hope they do, because it seemed like when they were making season 1 of Chainsaw Man, they had a great time doing it. You know, they had funny little stuff in there. They had power on a stick, on like a oh my god. They have power on a stick. They have power on the pogo thing is what I meant. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. My favorite part of Chainsaw Man was when power was on the pogo. Was on the stick, dude. Yeah, that's my favorite part. No, I'm gonna say pogo stick, but yeah, I imagine they might add stuff. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited for the new arc of Chainsaw Man to get animated, because for all the people who have not seen it and have only watched the show, they're going to be in for a big surprise. Obviously, spoilers if you have not seen Chainsaw Man and you're watching this, but probably put a spoiler warning at the beginning of this. But you know, I imagine the thing I can't wait for, and I don't know why I didn't mention this with the JJK one, but I can't wait for anime onlys to like go on Twitter and be like, guys, did Aki just die? Because like it's always so funny for people to like do that, and like, or for people to like theorize what they think is gonna happen. Like, I can just see this and be like, all right, guys, look, I know Aki got turned to the Gun Devil, but you know, I think he's gonna snap out of it, and then he's gonna like fight the Gun Devil, and then him and Denji, I gotta step in my phone, and then him and Denji are like gonna beat the Gun Devil, blah blah blah, and then obviously, you know, us manga readers know what happens, but the anime only's done. It's just like, oh, that's so cute. If only you knew. If only you knew the pain and misery that we went through like 5 or 10 years ago when this chapter came out. Even though I do imagine anime onlys probably do know about like Aki's death. You know, it's one of those things to where you can't avoid it. It's kind of like anime onlys and knowing that Gojo dies in Jujutsu Kaisen. Spoilers. But it's one of those things to where it was too popular and it's been memed on to death. So I imagine everyone knows that he dies. They probably don't know how, but I imagine they know that like, oh, eventually Gojo's gonna die. So yeah, but yeah, will Chainsaw Man be remembered in 10 years? I surely hope so, for better or for worse. I think that's it. So, yeah, are you an anime only for Chainsaw Man? What were your thoughts on some of the deaths in the show? If you could bring back one Chainsaw Man character who's dead, who would it be and why? I'm picking Power. Okay, I don't care. Power didn't do much in the show, but man, I just wish Power was back in Chainsaw Man. Even though, granted, she was at the end of it, but we don't count that. That's Power in a new timeline, and that's not the Power we grew up in now. So that one doesn't count. But yeah, I would bring back Power, because Power was so great, man. She might have been stinky, but she was great. But anyways, yeah. So Chainsaw Man in 10 years. Hopefully we remember it. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we remember it, and hopefully there's more discussion about it. But yeah.